Hello everyone, welcome back to AITechone.com, your one-stop channel for Salesforce learning with real-time examples and hands-on use cases. My name is Sumit, and in today's session, we are going to learn how to send an outbound message using flows in Salesforce. So this is a very powerful feature in Salesforce when you want to integrate Salesforce with external systems without writing a single line of code. So before we jump into the demo, let's first understand what an outbound message is. So when we say outbound message, it is one of the declarative features of Salesforce that we can use to integrate Salesforce with any external system. And the logic of the concept is very simple that whenever we create a new record or whenever we update a record in Salesforce, we would like to make a SOAP API request to, or we would like to send a SOAP API message to an external. So a common use case is to for integration, notifications, and automation purpose. And the beauty of this feature is that it won't take more than 10 to 15 minutes in order to configure the outbound messages in Salesforce. And why do we use, as I mentioned, that because traditionally the outbound messages are triggered using workflow rules. But because Salesforce is moving towards flows as a future of automation, that's why we decided that let's configure or uh, provide you a video, provide you a presentation where we can see that how do we send a message or how do we send an outbound message to an external platform, external systems by using flows in Salesforce. So let's jump into the Salesforce and we'll see how to implement this. And before we proceed, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to AI Tech One, and click the bell icon for more Salesforce tutorial. So, what exactly the outbound messages in Salesforce is? It's an automated workflow action that send an information to an external system in real time. It uses SOAP message or XML format to communicate with external services. Triggered by workflow rules, approval process, or flows. Send specific record fields to a designated endpoint URL, and it is commonly used for the system integration without writing custom code. So in today's video, I will be going to use a platform called pipe dreams. We call it as a pipe dreams, and I'm going to use this pipe dream in order to send a message, in order to make a request to external platform. So the very first step, how you are going to register. So let me show you from the step by step that how we are going to register on this pipe dream. So let me sign out. So the very first step is you have to visit the pipe dream. Okay, Pipe Dream. And here in Pipe Dream, what you need to do, you need to click on sign up because you will be connecting first time. So you have to click on sign up. Or if you have already got an account in Pipe Dream, we can use sign in. So I click on sign in and we are going to use this Pipe Dream to configure endpoint URL. And that endpoint URL we are going to hit from our Salesforce outbound message using Flow. So I'm going to sign in with Google and let's suppose I log in by using my Google account, by Gmail account. So I logged in successfully. Here we are going to create a new project. So I click on new project and we can give a name here. You can give any name you want. So I'm going to give the project name as request bin and create a project. And in this project, I will be creating a new workflow, not a new folder. I will be creating a new workflow. So I click on new workflow and label this as request bin workflow, request bin workflow and enter. So it will create a request bin workflow. Here we need to create a request bin or the endpoint URL, which we are going to hit from the Salesforce. So I click on add trigger. And here I'm going to use new HTTP webhook request. So I click on new HTTP webhook request and the full HTTP request return is so HTTP response domain is pipedream.net. Authorization is none. We don't require any authorization. So either we can go for custom token or oath. So I'm going for none right now and click on save and continue. And when I click save and continue, you can see a unique URL to trigger for this workflow has been generated successfully. Now, before moving on to Salesforce, I want to test this endpoint through the Postman or by using Postman. So let me open postman.com. And as all of you know that Postman is a tool which helps to test the API calls. So I'll just visit Postman and I'm going to make a request to this endpoint URL to the workflow. So this is my Postman interface. And in this Postman interface, I have already created a couple of workspaces. So I'm going to use one of them. So I click on, let's say, integration class. And here, I'm going to make a request to test cyclic plus and make sure the request will always be post. The URL to make a request, this is the URL, HTTPS. So I'll copy this URL and paste it. Now we have to pass certain headers. So if we go to generate test event, we can see the headers. For the first header is the user agent. So I'll pass the user agent and the value for the user agent is pipedream/1. Next is content type application JSON. Content type application JSON. And we need to pass a body. So I'm going to make a request here. And in order to make a request, the body we are going to pass test is equal to even. So here it is test is equal to even. I'm going to write here, let's say test. The test is a parameter. And I write here, hello from AITechone. So now let's click on send and we'll see whether this request processed successfully or not. And once the request processed successfully, what's the response? So I click on send and you can see, so I got a response, success response 200. Okay, that means the response is successful or the request we have made that request has processed successfully. Let's go and verify the request. And for this, I'll get back to the workflow which we created and I'm going to check the request we made. I'll just clear all, refresh once. And I want to test the request. So this is a request we recently made. I just click and set up and you can see hello from AITechone. Uh, let's do one thing. Let's check one more time with a different value. Instead of AITechone, I just write from AITechone.com, AITechone.com. I'm from SWC, for example, and send. This response is also success. Request one more time, refresh one more time. And I'll just check the event and you can see the response. That means the request made from the postman will be successful and the request bin successfully respond back to the postman. So this is what so we have successfully tested our request from the postman, but our objective is to make a request from workflow, from a flows in Salesforce. So what do we do now? We'll get back to the flow. Now here the business requirement is whenever I create a new account, the requirement is like this. Whenever we create a new account record, I would like to send the account ID, account name, account type, three parameter values to the request bin and that request bin, that request and that it will display the result here on this. So how do we do this? For this, step number one, before we start setting up a workflow, the first we have to do is we need to configure outbound message. So it's a workflow action outbound messages. So I'm going to configure outbound messages. Click on continue, and I'm going to create a new outbound message here. So new outbound message. And for which object? For account object. Here you have to select the object that the field you want to include in the in your message and click next. Next. Here I write test outbound message. Now here we have to pass the endpoint URL. So our endpoint URL is the URL which the unique URL to trigger the workflow. This URL which we retrieve from the pipe dream. So I copy this URL and paste this URL here. The fields, send session ID or account field. So right now ID is there, but I want to add other fields also. Let's say account number, annual revenue. I want to include these fields and I want to include name and type also. So I just added a couple of more fields and click on save. So step number one, we have successfully configured the outbound message. Now let's see how do we trigger this outbound message using a flow. So I'm going to create a flow now. So let's set up a new flow. So let's set up a new flows. And in that flow, we are going to trigger this test outbound message. So create new flow. And the flow we are going to select here is that is a record triggered flow because our requirement is as soon as we create a new account record, I would like to send a message. So I click on triggered and record triggered flow. Account object. And whenever a record will be created, no condition and save this. Now the action, click on action and here look for outbound. So you can see test outbound message is the same test outbound message which we configured just now. Select test outbound message, give a name, account test outbound message. That's all we have to do. Save this. Account outbound message flow. Save this and activate this. That's all we have to do. So that's why I mentioned earlier in the beginning that it's very easy. Without writing a single line of code in Apex, we can successfully send or we can successfully pass the message or send the messages or send the values to the external API systems. So it is activated. Now let's test it. So I'm going to create a new account. And let's say I'm going to create a new account here as AITechone test outbound message. Phone number 890-780-908. Account number AIT and account type customer channel, industry, and annual revenue as. And when I click save record, what happened? The record added successfully. This is AITechone test outbound message. Now let's go and check whether the message successful or not. And so we can do a monitoring also outbound messages. So when I click outbound messages, I can see a new outbound message has been sent. Next item for the delivery, you can see the outbound message. We are going to try this. Refresh. So attempt two. Okay, let me go and check. Here it is showing next attempt at 19 at 12:48 a.m. This is a different one, not this one. But anyway, I wanted to see whether this outbound message successfully triggered or not. So for this, I'll get back to request one and we'll check the request. Let's refresh this. And we received a new request at 1:18. Let's check it out. And see this. AITechone outbound message. That's the annual revenue, account number, and type is customer channel. So we are passing 4 fields from the account object by using a workflow. And it's using SOAP request. And the format is XML format. So that's the way we can send an outbound message from Salesforce to external APIs without writing any single line of code by using flows. So it is a right time to migrate the outbound message into a flows outbound messages instead of using Epic. So that's all in this tutorial. If you like this video, you can post your comment in comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe the channel and video as well. Keep watching, keep learning. Thanks for connecting. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.